These noses are so pointy, my goodness. This is obviously the anime, but the Demon Slayer manga was drawn by artist Koyoharu Gotoge. A lot of what makes this art style unique happens in the faces, so let's start there. Now, in terms of the faces, a lot of the characters have pretty exaggerated proportions. A lot of this is pretty typical anime style stuff, but a lot of it is quite unique. Here is what I would consider to be a pretty realistic set of proportions. If I were to draw a realistic portrait, this is pretty much the kind of thing that I would start with. Here is how that compares with an anime character from Demon Slayer. Some of these differences are really pretty common in most anime and manga. For example, the larger eyes, the smaller nose, and the little pointy chin. Equally pretty common in anime and manga is the way that the facial features all get sort of squished down. Notice how in the Demon Slayer image, this whole section is shifted quite a lot downward. As I trace over the original Demon Slayer image, notice how exaggerated the proportions are compared to the realistic version that we started with. In particular, notice how the eyebrows sit in the middle of the head, so that we've got just as much space above the eyebrows to the top of the head as we have below the eyebrows down to the bottom of the chin. Here again is that comparison between the Demon Slayer and the realistic proportions. You can really see how much more forehead space we've got in the Demon Slayer version, almost laughably so. What distinguishes Gotoge's art style from a more generic anime or manga art style is the way that she emphasizes or exaggerates some of the less commonly emphasized features, such as the ears or the nose, or in some cases the chin. The Demon Slayer art style often involves exaggerating the size of the ears and adjusting their placement. Many characters like this one here are depicted with really much larger ears than you might expect. The ears are also placed slightly lower than you would normally see. If we look at more realistic ear placement, for example like in this photo, you can see the way that the ear starts roughly at the nose and then it ends roughly at the eyebrow. If we look at this Demon Slayer drawing, you can see that the ear starts all the way down at the mouth and it ends quite a bit before the eyebrow, more in line with the eyes. We can see it again here very clearly in these two drawings. One thing that actually really stresses me out about this style is just how much detail there is in the ears. Now I know it's not exactly a photorealistic level of detail, but it's still way more detail than we're used to seeing in most manga styles, and it is a pain to try and replicate all of this. I started to try and do it here, and then I got annoyed. Noses in Demon Slayer can often have a lot more detail than you'd expect as well. A lot of manga just use a single dash or a dot to represent the nose, but if we have a look at some of these noses, you can see there's quite a bit more detail.